I used to take care of people when I was younger. I loved taking care of people. I was the only healthy kid in the family. But, the Band-Aids, getting them water, that kind of thing, blankies and whatever. I was one of I was one of five sisters. Only healthy. And when I was around 10, which is this picture here, I was going to the hospital to visit with my sister who was in the hospital at the time. And I passed this room and had this little girl that I'm thinking maybe 4, 5 o'clock. I'm thinking what time it is, guys. I'm sorry. She was about 4 or 5 years old. I am okay. And she was crying. There was nobody in the room with her. So I asked my mom, and she said I could. I walked in the room, and I'm talking to her and asked her if she was okay. This was very abnormal for me. I was an extremely naive and shy, extremely shy, quiet person. I always have been. Well, I'm not anymore, but And I would go in this girl's room and I helped her eat and I'd make her laugh and I'd talk to her. And I loved visiting with her and doing things for her and making sure she drank her water or whatever else. And when I was leaving and they knew that I was leaving, my sister was getting discharged, the nurses came up and said, "Thank you for taking such good care of her." And they said, "She's always sad because her parents doesn't come to see her." And I'm like, "Why not?" And they said they don't like seeing her so sick. That just broke my heart. Come to find out, this little girl had cystic fibrosis, and the family, I get it. I get it, but I don't get it. Not judging, but I remember when I left that day, my heart was breaking for this child. But I knew with the experience of me loving to take care of people, and that experience of that little girl, I would become a nurse. That's it. I decided that's what I wanted to do. Fast forwarding till I was around 17, senior in high school, I found out the local hospital was accepting applications for CNA. And I didn't think I qualified. I worked at fast food places and that kind of thing. I didn't think I had a snowball chance of getting the job. But with my mom's encouragement, I decided to go ahead and try it. What have I got to lose? If they say no, at least I tried. So I had my interview with the director of nurses. And that poor woman, I felt bad for her, but I didn't feel bad for her because 3 weeks in a row I called this woman. "Did you make a decision? Did you make a decision? Did you make a decision?" That's never me being a pest like that, but I wanted bad enough that I was being a pest. That and my mom encouraged me, and I never talked back to my parents. Matter of fact, rolling my eyes sometimes got me in trouble because I was sassing them or something. Anyway, so I called her. Finally, after 3 weeks, I told my mom I'm not calling no more. I've made a fool of myself already. It's not going to work. I'm done. An hour later, the phone rang. And it was the director of nurses. And she said, "Ruthie, why didn't you call me today?" Because I called her as soon as I got home from school. And I said, "I am sorry. I just decided to quit being a pest." And she goes, "But today was the day I was going to hire you." She actually gave me the job. The chances of a 17-year-old girl with no experience getting a CNA job, I didn't think it was possible. But I got the job. I absolutely loved that job. And I'm a person that I don't mind change. I don't mind things, learning something new. So I would work everywhere. I work in the emergency room. I'd work in ICU. Wherever they needed a CNA, I was there. And then I met somebody I absolutely idolized. Paul Brown was an RN at the hospital. Now, I say he was one of the traveling nurses. So he would come up and work different hospitals, whoever needed him. But he'd only work 16-hour shifts. So they knew whenever this man was working, if they needed a CNA, they knew to come ask me because I loved working with him. I loved his stories. I loved everything he taught me. He taught me so much. He tells so many different stories. He was in the military for 24 years. He went to Korea. He went to Vietnam 3 different times. He had a couple different jobs when he was there, so he had so many different stories. He talked about his wife and his kids, and I loved it, and I loved working with him. I idolized this man. I put him on a pedestal so high. One day, this man came up and he gave me this picture, and he said, "This is my son Bill. He's a Marine, and he's in Japan, and it would help if he got some letters." And he asked me if I would mind writing to him. I didn't find anything attractive by this man. All I saw was glasses, hat down to here, and the red background made his face look red. What an attractive picture. So I took the picture home. 2 weeks later, my mom got tired of seeing that picture on the dresser. And she said, "If you don't sit down and write this boy right now, I'm taking this picture back to Paul," because she knew him. "I'm taking this picture back to Paul and tell him you do not want to write him." "No, don't do that." I'm like, "He's my friend, Mom. I don't want to disappoint him." She goes, "Then sit down and write this a letter." She would have took it back to him. She would have told him. She knew me well. So I sat down and wrote the letter. I didn't know what to write this guy. So I wrote, "Hi, my name is Ruthie, and I met your dad working here, and I hope you're doing well." That's it. That's it. That's all I wrote. But we started writing back and forth, and it did not take me long to find interest in this boy. This man, he was 18, and he had a sense of humor. He told stories as well. I loved getting his letters, and we wrote letters for 3 months. Remember that number, because it will come back up a lot. 3 will come up a lot. You will so quickly learn why 3 is my favorite number now. So I started writing him, and I wrote it for about 3 months. Unfortunately, on November 22nd, 1980, a 17-year-old boy driving a pickup decided to drive drunk and hit Paul head on. The 17-year-old was fine, but Paul didn't make it. That was my first loss as a teenager. I've never had anybody that I lost that I was close to, and I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. I tried to go back to work. I love this job. I tried to go back to work, and every time I would walk around down the hall, I would think he'd be coming around the corner, or I thought I heard his voice. It was hard not being able to see him because his body was not, you couldn't see him. I ended up quitting my job because I could not do it. I just couldn't. At the funeral, I have no idea. I don't remember seeing anybody. It was a hard time. It was a hard time. 3 absolutely beautiful, perfect kids. They're all adults now. This little girl over here, where's she at? There she is, right there. Bill's dad passed away on November 22nd, 1980. She was born 3 years later, on November 22nd, 1983. We had 3 kids, and those 3 kids have given us 8 absolutely best grandbabies I could ever possibly imagine. So if it hadn't been for that letter that I wrote, deciding to apply for that job, first of all, and then making that decision to get out of my comfort zone and write that letter. And yes, even the fact that his father asked me to write that letter, and the fact that we met and started dating, and it might not have happened. It's like his father set everything up. He was like our guardian angel or something. Even his loss had something to do with us getting together. And it's been fabulous. I cannot imagine my life without this man. He's absolutely my best friend, my caretaker. I love this man to pieces. So after they buried his father in Arlington National Cemetery, his mom suggested that maybe while he's home to go and visit with the people that he'd been writing to, say thank you for being nice to his father, that kind of thing, just a meet and greet. And he thought it was a good idea. So to make a decision of who he was going to go see first, he chose me because my letters were fabulous, guys. Come on now. That was not it. We'll be honest. The reason was because Becky was 17 and still in high school. And it was Sunday night. I had already graduated. So he chose me. And he came over. And remember the picture, I was not attracted to him. I knew he was a nice guy. Knew he's funny. But I wasn't attracted to him. So he called me. And I said, sure, come on over. So I got some jeans and shirt on. Nice shirt. And he opened the door. And oh my gosh. 6'2". Gorgeous person standing in front of me. That picture did him absolutely no justice. None. I'm looking at him like, oh, now this is different. I'm liking this. So we get in his car and we're driving around, and he asked me, what's there to do in town? There's a park. There's nothing. He goes, there's not a theater in town? And I'm like, yeah, there's a theater, but tonight's not the night they showed the movie. One night a week they showed the movie. One night a week. That was it. One night, 2 times, I think. And so he asked me if we wanted something to eat. We pulled into Sonic. And this man was cute. He's funny. I loved his letters. And I'm like, I don't want this man to run off. So when he asked me if I wanted something, I just said, I just want some french fries for now. I was too embarrassed to tell him I didn't like mayonnaise or mustard on my burgers. I still don't. But I don't like it. I didn't want to tell him that because in case he runs off, like, what kind of weird person are you? I have no idea what was going on in my head. That makes no sense to me. However, that was the way my brain was working that night. So then he said, well, where's this park at? So we walked around the park, and he pushed me on the swing. He shared french fries with me, just like in the movies, and he pushed me on the swing, just like in the movies. And I'm like, oh, I was falling in love already just because of that. He was so cute. My 18-year-old brain is just like, oh, he's so cute. And look what he did. And I talked about that night, and I still talk about that night. It was fabulous. Anyway, so he gave me my first kiss that night, and we dated for 3 weeks. There's that number, 3 weeks. 3 is my favorite number, and you're going to learn why. But then they made my Billy Brad go back to Japan. He couldn't call me. We couldn't get online. That was not a thing. Back in 1980, that was not a thing. So he went back for 3 months, and we wrote 3 more months. And he came back on March 3rd. And I promised him, and he said, you're going to come to the airport? And I'm like, I would love to, and I promised him I would. So I talked to his mom, and she goes, well, it's going to be kind of late when he comes in. I said, I can just have my mom and dad bring me, because I promised him I'd be there. She goes, no, just go ahead and come with me. You could tell she wasn't excited, but that's okay. I wasn't doing it for her. I was doing it for him, but I was being respectful. And when I went there, and I was nice, I stood back, and I gave them a chance to say hello, him and his sister, his mom and his sister. And I stood back and let them have all the time they needed. Then he kind of looked up after giving them hugs and saying hi. He got it. He looked around, and he saw me and got the biggest smile, and my heart melted. He ran over to, well, didn't run. He walked over, 6'2". You don't have to run anywhere. And comes over there, and he gives me a big hug, and he's so excited to see me. And it was so good to have him home. I knew as soon as I saw him again, I really did love this man. I didn't ever want to let him go again. I knew he's only home for a short period of time. He's going to have to leave again. But I wasn't trying to think of that at the time. So we went over to visit his aunt and uncle before they took me home that day. And It's so nice. We sit there and he had his hand around me, he's holding my hand and everything else. And his aunt asked Bill, "Where are you going next?" And he goes, "I'm going to North Carolina." His mom, with me sitting right there, said, "Yeah, he's going to North Carolina to find himself a real Southern belle." There goes my heart melting, melting. And without missing a heartbeat, my Bill Brown pops up and says, "I don't want no damn dingaling." Oh my God. This man could not be more perfect in my 18-year-old head. He just couldn't be. Couldn't. I'm just saying, he was just, to me, he was perfect. On March 3rd is when he came home. On March 6th, he took me out. He came over to see me every night. It was an hour and a half drive one way. And he came back to, oh, that's another 3 hours a night. He drove to see me every night. Anyway, so then he came, he took me out to a place, I think it was called Waterworks or something like that. And we sat in this caboose, and there was a really super nice restaurant, and it had water around it. And they asked us if we wanted a cocktail before or after dinner. That's when I knew I was in trouble, because I'm like, maybe the menu's going to tell me what the heck a cocktail is, because I had no clue. None. I was so naive, people. Naive. And so we eat, and I still didn't know what a cocktail was. So he went over to get some drinks, and I'm like, no, just give me whatever you think. So he brings back a strawberry daiquiri. And I'm an honest person. I may not like it, but I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm sitting here drinking this thing. I'm like, it could be good. And he goes, "Is there something wrong with your drink?" No, I just don't like strawberries. We sat there and just laughed and laughed. And he goes, "Why didn't you tell me you didn't like it? You don't have to drink it if you don't like it." I'm like, "Well, I'm trying, blah, blah, blah." You know the routine. So then we walked around the lake, and then we were driving home. And this man turned a switch. I've not... He started to ask me things like, "Do you have an ID? And are you scared of needles?" And all kinds of strange questions. I'm like, what are you planning on doing? Next thing I know, there's red and blue lights in the mirror. He's getting a ticket. It is funny now, but it wasn't so funny then. He's getting an 80 going into 55. And he gets in the car and he goes, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "You have nothing to be sorry for. I'm not going to pay your ticket, but you don't have to be sorry." And he goes, "Well, I was trying to make the point about a certificate." We're back to the weird questions. "What certificate?" He goes, "A marriage certificate." The poor guy was so nervous that I would say no and was trying to ask me to marry him. He was so cute, guys. So we did. We decided we have two ways. Married before he goes to North Carolina or after. Well, Ruthie's not a stupid person. I'm not. He's going to be married when he goes to North Carolina, just in case those Southern belles decide to be stupid. So we do. We get married March 20th, 1981. And on March 23rd, he goes back, he leaves to go to North Carolina. Now, when we get married, it has now been 44 years I have been married to this man, and I absolutely adore him. I want all of my future generations to know what a fabulous person he is. He was a firefighter, and he recently retired doing that. And he's always worked 2 or 3 jobs trying to support the family. He's fabulous. I did manage to make it to nursing school thanks to him. He actually took me there one day. He goes, "Go apply." And he's always been a great dad, a great grandfather, a great husband. He cooks, cleans, does laundry. And no, I don't worry about it being perfect. You got somebody who's helping you out. I can wash down something if I don't like the way he does it later on, but he's helping. And I don't complain about help. And it's a good thing he's as loving as he is, because I've got to where I'm having a lot of medical problems. I worked as a nurse for 25 years before I started having disabilities. And with my disabilities now. A few days ago, I started having trouble walking, and now I can't walk, and I'm in a wheelchair. And so he just does everything. He gets up extra early and he makes sandwiches or something for me, make sure all my drinks and stuff is down low enough in the refrigerator. And the man just does everything. And we've been married for 44 years, but the church had a fire and they had to rebuild, so the building's not there. The hotel that we stayed in had a fire. It's no longer there. The flowers were real, so they died. I don't have anything from that. We don't even have the original marriage certificate because we ended up losing it in one of the many moves that we've had. And the dress was borrowed. So we literally have nothing from our wedding. I don't even have the wedding ring. Nothing. I have nothing because it was stolen. I have nothing for my wedding except my husband. And he's a fabulous person, and I'm so lucky to have him. So this decision, besides being married to this man for so long, what all did it end up doing? 3 absolutely beautiful, perfect kids. They're all adults now. This little girl over here, where's she at? There she is right there. Bill's dad passed away on November 22nd, 1980. She was born 3 years later on November 22nd, 1983. We have 3 kids. And those 3 kids have given us 8 absolutely best grandbabies I could ever possibly imagine. Ever possibly imagine. So if it hadn't been for that letter that I wrote to, deciding to apply for that job, first of all, and then making that decision to get out of my comfort zone and write that letter. And yes, even the fact that his father asked me to write that letter, and the fact that we met and started dating, and it might not have happened. It's like his father set everything up. He was like our guardian angel or something. Even his loss had something to do with us getting together. And it's been fabulous. I cannot imagine my life without this man. He's absolutely my best friend, my caretaker. I love this man to pieces. But let me tell you another point of the story. These pictures, I could have put these down anyway. But the point of having pictures is telling the story. Telling the story. These pictures are not only for us to look at and remember what we were doing on that day. Pictures are for sharing. And not just sharing, like now you can look at this picture and say, oh, this is last Christmas. What if when you're not here anymore? What if you have a phone? It used to be boxes of pictures. Remember getting the boxes of pictures? Or you get those albums. I still have albums in there. And you have no idea who half of them are. You don't know the dates. You don't know anything. And it breaks your heart because you're like, this person is showing up over and over and over in this album and I have no idea who they are. They must have been important for so many pictures to be in there. Otherwise they wouldn't be here. But yet I cannot figure out who they are. I don't even have pictures. My mom and dad both passed away as well as his. I have no pictures from I have a few, maybe less than a dozen pictures of my family. And that's it. The pictures, where'd they go? I don't know. One of my sisters must have it. They're not sharing. And that happens a lot too. Or how many times do you have a phone? Somebody passes and you get this phone and you have no clue. Nobody even thinks about the phone, to take the phone and look at the pictures to find out what pictures are in there, what's important about them, when they were, nothing. You go and your memories go with you. And the point of memories is passing them on. Your kids and grandkids and people want to know, what grandma was like and where the blue eyes in the family come from and where did they come from and the stories of the crazy ticket when he was trying to ask me to marry him. Those kinds of things people want to know in the future. And the scary thing is it takes 2 generations to be forgotten. 2. That to me is sad. That's my kids and grandkids. That's it. So if I don't pass these memories on, it's going to end right here. And I don't want that. So I'm here to help. Anyway, I'd love hearing your stories. If you have questions, please leave them down there below. If you're not a scrapbooker, you don't have to be. Just simply take your picture in an album, write the story, a short story about it, put it in, you write it on an index card. Put it in, you have the albums, and it's got the two. Put the picture on one side, the story on the other. Picture, story, picture, story. You can simply, don't even have to put stickers on there. Just write them down and put them in an album. It doesn't matter. Just share the stories. Get your photos and in your camera, in your phone. Get them organized digitally and share them with people. I have Google. What is it? Oh my! I can't think of the name of it right now. I'll find it. I'll figure it out in a little bit, and I'll share it with you another time. But I have all my pictures organized, and I'll try to link that video down below. And I have all of them in there, and every single one of them can be shared. I share it with up to 5 people, and I've shared it with my husband, me, and all 3 of my kids. They can add pictures to it. They're all organized, neat, able to find them, and not easily. Oh, Google Drive. That's what it is. I'll share it with you later. But all the pictures are easy to find. Do that for your family. Write those stories down, guys. Write them down. Do something, because the people want to know. I have a lot more to do, a lot more stories to tell. I have a lot more scrapbooking to do. And I love doing all kinds of different things. And I also love doing organizing. And I get to organize my craft room because my lovely wheelchair won't turn around in there as easily, so we get to reorganize. Doesn't that sound like fun? But I will share with how I plan on doing it. If you have any tips or clues about how to get around in a tight craft room, please share that too. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.